What's going on, everyone? It's Mitch from RespectMyRegion.com coming in with another episode of the Morning Joint, joined by Joey J. Ping, who just lit up potentially the first joint of the morning, man. How you living today?
Man, it's the morning joint, man. I don't even know what episode we're at, but it's NECANN week, so life is good. How are you?
I think it's episode 54. That's what the description says, if the description is accurate. You know what I'm saying? We be smoking, and counting past 10 gets a little difficult, and we're in the 50s, so I'm a little proud of ourselves, even if we're, within a buffer, a variance of 3.
Man, for a once a week episode, that means we're over a year.
Absolutely. I've took a couple weeks off. You know what I'm saying? Just a few there, but we've been at it. And like Joey said, this is the week of NECANN. We are RMRs traveling out to Massachusetts for our first ever NECANN conference. Been hearing about this for years. It's been on our calendar for maybe 3-4 years in a row. Yet to get out there. Been to Massachusetts a couple different times, but super excited to get out there. We got some special guests joining us on this morning joint episode here shortly. But before we get into all that, let's get into some news. Obviously, NECANN is the center of the news we'll be talking about today. But like I said, we're going to get into that a little bit later. So starting off with the main topic, just some of the topics in music and cannabis that ran up on our website over the last week. Top one in the cannabis right now is Phat Panda continues a partnership with Sweetleaf Collective to get free medical cannabis to patients in need and veterans in California. For those unaware, Phat Panda is the number one company in sales in the Washington state market, has expanded to California and other markets, Massachusetts as well, although their flower products, I believe, are not available on the East Coast just yet. But they announced a continued partnership with the Sweetleaf Collective. We did an article on that. Got some quotes in there from Sweetleaf Joe. For those of you who don't know, Sweetleaf Joe and Sweetleaf Collective run a 501(c) nonprofit where cash donations and flower donations make their way back in exchange for cannabis, giving out 1 free gram of cannabis given out to patients in need. They really focus around terminally ill medical patients and veterans. Super dope program. Obviously, as we transfer out of the medical days into recreational days, a lot of programs like this that were common in medical days cease to exist as we switch over to recreational cannabis, as it is more overly regulated. But it's really dope to see guys like Sweetleaf Joe and his team still keep these programs alive to get patients that need this medicine access for low cost or free in some cases, man. So it's really dope to see that. Phat Panda, 365 Recreational, Cannabis Works are some of the dispensaries involved in this. So just big shout out to Sweetleaf Collective, man.
Bro, they crush it. It's cool that they're doing that. It's hard to get those kinds of things set up from start to finish. It's hard to see it all the way through, but when you prioritize it, you figure out the ways that you can, or the intricacies that it requires to get this done. For me, being that I'm sales, distro, we work with manufacturers, we work with retail. There's so many different moving parts with a project like that. So big shout out to the Phat Panda team. Big shout out to Rec 365, Soulful, Sweetleaf, everybody involved with this whole project, man. For real.
Absolutely. Moving up on next news. So Tacoma rapper Lewie, a friend of ours and one of the dopest rappers out of the Pacific Northwest, in my opinion, is launching his cannabis brand called the KushHouse brand exclusively at Zips in Washington State. Zips is one of the largest, if not the largest, retail chain in the Washington State market, heavily centered. They have like 4 stores in Tacoma. Lewie is an artist that grew up in Tacoma, and if you know a little bit about his rise, the KushHouse was the studio that they had growing up, where people would come through, smoke, and listen to music, record music. And so now he's kind of taking this legacy landmark, switching it over to a brand. They're launching that at Zips. Their packaging's all coming out with restash jars. Got to shout out Adrian and the team out there. Super dope to see that. We don't see a lot of celebrity weed in Washington State. And while no disrespect to Lewie, he's not quite celebrity status, maybe Tacoma celebrity status, but it's really dope to see artists out here grinding and putting some more effort into expanding their brand and getting into the cannabis market, man. So I think it looks dope. They've partnered with Thunder Chief Farms, who grew a lot of the cookie strains out here for a while. I'm excited to check it out and just big happy to watch the homies expand their business portfolio.
Dude, Lewie is known for hard work. He's known for quality. He's known for putting it in the grind. We trust sitting here right now, you and I both trust that the weed's fire. Isn't it going to be best of the best? There's a chance. There's a chance. If you grew for cookies, you got a chance to be top 10 in your state in terms of quality. You got a chance. And as long as Louie's curating the right flower in those bags, and in those jars, he should be good. So I'm really excited to see what Lewie brings to the table, and I'm excited for you to be able to go buy it and try it.
Yeah, likewise. And I know, and I also got to shout out the man behind the scenes. Louie is obviously the face of all that, but when we're talking about MKF and the crew, I know Rose is the resident smoker, man. That's my guy. Always down to blow big smoke with him. And I know he's helping curate what's in those bags. And I know he knows gas, man. We be talking about different gas all the time. Next topic, man. 7 Points is now carrying the RMR Legacy Smalls. Joe, you want to give us a little bit? Where's 7 Points at, man?
Man, shout out 7 Points Delivery for bringing the RMR Legacy Smalls to Bakersfield, to San Luis Obispo, Morro Bay, Santa Maria. All right, we're talking Visalia, Woodlake, Farmersville. I believe Fresno's included in that. You can now get Respect My Region flour throughout Central California. You can get it in Modesto. You can get it down to Baco. You can get it down to SLO. It's crazy. So shout out to 7 Points, man. David, the whole team, man. Keegan, everybody, man, for real. Giving us a shot.
Yeah, appreciate them rocking with us on that. Last up on the cannabis news, we got the tour of Upryze facility in Canada. Shout out the homie Jordan up there, man, helping make that happen.
We got one more surprise one I want to bring up.
Oh,
Cookies times Erykah Badu.
Okay, yeah.
Cookies times Erykah Badu. Don't sleep on it. Black History Month last month, Women's Month this month. Don't sleep on it. Don't sleep on it.
That bad dude.
That Badu, man. Come on, it's gonna be a hit. It's gonna be a hit. I'm pretty sure it drops at Cookies Maywood this Saturday.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see what all markets they'll drop in. Obviously, with Cookies right now, a lot of these collabs are kind of small with select artists at select stores. Some of them hit all the markets. So I'm curious to see where all we get. And speaking of, the Queen Erykah, talking about music, moving into just some quick music news. We put out a list of Portland rappers you need to know. I'm not going to run, just for the sake of time today, I'm not going to run through all the artists on there, but the link is in the description. And I'll just say, if you're a hip hop fan, you definitely need to check out Portland, Pacific Northwest. Obviously, it's where I'm from, but it's a hotbed out here, and we don't necessarily have the media attention to get a lot of these artists to the same level of LA, the Bay, New York, Atlanta, Miami, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a lot of dope stuff coming out of the Pacific Northwest, man. Check out that list. The next topic on music was Taylor Hart put out her weekly Word Around the Sound, keeping you updated with what's going on in Seattle, within the culture, within events. Again, I'm not going to run through every topic for the sake of time. You can check that on there, but I will highlight one, RIP Steezy NASA, artist that we supported, man, in the early 2010s for a while. A lot of his contributions as a solo artist in the More Gang group. He did pass away last week, so we just got to send our condolences out to Steezy's family, friends. And if anyone's been in the music scene in the Seattle area for 10 plus years, Steezy and the More Gang should be people you're familiar with. So it's always sad when we lose someone young, but definitely check that out. Man, we saw somebody else post the Portland list on your Twitter feed. That's what I like to see, man. That's what I like to see. And then also we got some other comments coming in. Dan, Smash Hits, Chem Dog, what up? Then another list, we got the New Music Friday recap. Again, I'm not going to run through all of this stuff. There's new music from Snoop, from Wiz, from Slow Tie, Macklemore. I want to say J. Cole's got a crazy verse coming on there. Check that out. Moving on in music news, Wu-Tang Clan and Nas are expanding their NY State of Mind tour. Who knew that a Wu-Tang Clan and Nas tour was going to be successful? Little joke there. Obviously, that's going to be successful. That's legendary music right there. They're getting around the globe a little bit more and rounding it out in news. We got the Cocaine Bear movie review. I don't know if everyone's seen that. I haven't seen it yet. I definitely want to go see it. I love the over-the-top. I like the shark movies, the Meg, any of those, Lake Placid, any of those movies where the animals are going crazy, killing everyone. I'm a fan of that genre, man. And Cocaine Bear, built off a real story, obviously embellished, but it's doing pretty well online and at the box office. I'm excited to check it out, man. Did you watch it, Joe?
We say that again.
Did you watch the Cocaine Bear? Is it on
I
your
have
list?
not. So if I don't know, for those of you that don't know this, and shout out for the free advertisement that I'm about to give to AMC, but on Tuesdays they have a Tuesday movie pass that you can sign up with AMC that makes the movies like $5 a pop. So I am a part of that AMC family to take advantage of those movie nights on Tuesdays, and unfortunately I've not been to Cocaine Bear yet. However, it's definitely on my list to go see. I actually edited the review of Cocaine Bear, and it's our official review from, and shout out Ian, one of our newer contributors to the team, for begging out something that just right as soon as it came out he was on it. The movie will be remembered for being as out there, just for being like the topic and as eye catching as it is there, that it is for like the actual movie. You know what I mean? Just the actual story. They'll just remember a story about a cocaine bear. They don't actually remember the movie. So that's generally the review is, in line with that. We'll definitely be seeing it. We also just published an article about our Oscars predictions. So definitely recommend you guys to go check out our predictions for the Oscars. Shout out our other newer awesome contributor of movies and pop culture, Nolan, for covering some of the Oscars and giving our predictions there. And then we also recently, Mitch, EDC Mexico, Farah just got back. Farah just got back from that and sent me photos and videos last night from Mexico City in Mexico. Pretty crazy. So I'm excited to go, check out that review and encourage everybody, if you've ever gone to EDC, imagine what it would be like in Mexico City, because that's what we just sent a contributor down there. She's been on the team for 5 years. So really excited to see what her thoughts are.
Absolutely, man. And so now we're moving on to the title topic of today's conversation, man. We're talking about NECANN. We're talking about Boston. We're talking about Massachusetts. I'll throw out some, some of those slang terms for Boston in a positive way, but I'm about to be out there. I don't want to misrepresent.
Did you catch the game last night?
I did not. The Celtics?
Boston, New York. New York came through again, bro. It was crazy.
I saw double overtime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a great game. Great game.
Well, speaking of that double overtime, man, we got two special guests joining us today on the Morning Joint who we're going to be hanging out with this week in Massachusetts, man, out there in Massachusetts. See, look at that, man. I'm going to try and do the slang terms and butcher it, man. Forgive me.
Massachusetts is what the locals say, man. They say they got fire out there. They got, man, if you asked one of these two people about Massachusetts cannabis, she's going to have 1,000,001 great things to say about so many wonderful individual people. And we're blessed to be able to go and hang out with both of these cats for a couple days and go bounce around. Gosh, Mitch, we're going to go to 5 facilities, 6, something like that. We might even hit 2 states. Who knows? We don't know where we're going to be, but I can tell you where at least one lobster roll is going to be inside of your boy.
Mm-hmm. All right, man. Well, without further ado, we're gonna bring him on, man.
Let's go. Bring the guests.
Photonics. We got Blake from Qwik Liquids. How we doing today, guys?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having us on. Appreciate it.
Let's just start by saying one lobster roll. Come on, you got to be able to put 2 down if you're gonna call yourself a real player around here. Come on now, Joe.
3 lobster rolls?
Blake's not even an East Coaster, and he knows how.
Yeah, I'm saving one for the plane ride home. Don't you worry.
Everybody's best friend.
You gotta have one warm, one cold, and then whatever you're feeling more, you gotta get another. You know what I mean? You gotta visit
buttery,
that.
mayonnaise-y, yeah.
Before we even get to the structure, then I gotta ask you just on theme, Jill. Are you warm or cold lobster roll person? What do you prefer?
I'm a cold lobster roll person for sure. Yeah,
Blake?
I am.
I go warm. Butter. My wife and I got married last May, and we definitely had the Cousin's Maine lobster truck as one of the food options. So lobster rolls all day.
Got it. All right. Well, Jill, if you don't mind giving us the brief introduction to yourself and Orange Photonics, man. Let's get the 411 on yourself real quick.
Not at all. Good morning again, guys. It's such a pleasure to be here with you all. And looking forward to this week, too. It's going to be a fun one. I am Jill Carreiro. I'm from Orange Photonics. We make Light Lab, the orange box, right? That little box. But it's a 13-pound version that companies all across the United States and internationally now, including those amazing folks at Sweetleaf, right? They use Light Lab for their internal analytics. Folks that want to know the numbers around their flower, around their vegetative material, around their biomass, anything from little baby plants to finished gummies. That's what Light Lab does. Gives you those answers. We're all about like democratizing science that is usually only available to the big dogs and lots of money. So, and we are stoked to bring it up and bring it through to this party and focus on our new product, which is Light Lab High Sensitivity, right? We just released this at the beginning of this year. We teased it at MJ Biz in the end of last year, but it's a little portable HPLC that gets down below 2 ppm and it doesn't mess around. So folks like Blake at Quick Drops and Quick Liquids, folks that are making formulations that really press the limits, low potency, edibles, gummies, and need to know their numbers, they can do it with Light Lab High Sensitivity.
And you can do it on site, right? I saw you in the field in Massachusetts last year, right? And the benefit of this is not having to just send things out for testing, wait for those results, right? You can do things right on hand in minutes, right? Get understand.
For sure, yeah.
QA, what's happened in those testing labs, because we all know that's a talking point nationwide in this industry.
Yeah, basically every other industry does it, right? They have some turn and how you're doing. It's processing, basically like measuring stuff as you go along so you can do a better job of it. That's what we saw. You're still going to have to send shit out to the laboratory at the end of the day. It's testing, but there's a whole lot more that you can do and should be doing, and that's what great stuff coming. We got a mushrooms box coming. We got all sorts of fun stuff coming. So stay tuned, guys, because we are very excited for this year.
I love that. Blake, all right, we got to get the basic introduction to yourself and Quick Liquids, man. We'll let the people know.
Hey, first and foremost, let's go back to Orange Photonics. There is not a better piece of equipment, pound for pound, dollar for dollar, that anybody could get in their manufacturing or cultivation facility. When you're talking about the ongoings when it comes to day-to-day testing and what that looks like for your downstream clients, being able to report back in that amount of time for that reliable of a testing apparatus is second to none. So anybody even thinking about hopping on the Orange Photonics train, do it, because you will benefit from it. So highly recommend those guys. And not to mention their team chiefs were the best of them. So Orange Photonics, they're great to party with too as well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you saying those very kind words, sir. And I return those blessings.
Yeah, thanks guys for having us on again. Appreciate it.
I've never smoked with Jill. I've only smoked with their partner, so this is news to me.
You and I have never. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Hey, listen, dude, we were together when I got this pen, so I know you're.
She hit the dab on BizCon floor, man.
I took your pen.
She did.
She hit your Puffco on the BizCon floor.
She did hit the Puffco on BizCon.
I forgot about that.
Allegedly.
I allegedly do the same thing in airports sometimes too.
All right, Blake. You know, we gave you the mic, and you, instead of self-gratifying yourself, you passed on the blessings elsewhere. So you put some good karma out there. All right, now we need you to sell yourself, man. Who are you? What are you?
All right, okay. Thank you guys again. Appreciate it. Quick Liquids can best be described as API absorption enhancement. We offer a pharmaceutical grade approach for solubilizing cannabinoids. Why that's important is because around the world, typically the best ingredients are going to be plant-based, oil-based ingredients. Your body being 75% water, we allow for the two to play well together through a pharmaceutical grade, low heat, low energy approach to solubilizing cannabinoids for the purposes of infusion into chocolates, gummies, solid edibles, tinctures, topicals, soft gels, any kind of solid edible product, topical tincture, we add a layer of absorption to your oil-based ingredients. So essentially we add a layer of bioavailability, allowing for essentially absorption into a patient or a consumer for an oil-based ingredient. So I know it's a lot of redundancy, but essentially we turn oil into water. It sounds simple, but it's very, very important for what we're trying to do in the cannabis space. One thing that we're also excited for at Quick Liquids is water-soluble terpenes. we're moving into a water-soluble terpene realm and allowing the water solubilization of terpenes for addition into a multitude of ingredients and industry. Something we are also very excited for at Qwik Liquid. So looking forward to hanging out with the guys at NECANN. Looking forward to pushing our Quick Drops product into the Massachusetts market. We're launching our Jeffrey from Quick Drops this out in Massachusetts. The Jeffrey is a 500 milligram THC, 250 milligram CBD, 250 milligram CBG, 125 CBN. So we're looking forward to getting this out in the market in Massachusetts. And again, we're just happy to be on the show with you guys and looking forward to a fun week.
And you got to entertain me a little bit more. The Jeffrey, obviously, you know, was kind of a slang term, right, for that high potent mix of a variety of things. Who is this Jeffrey product? Who's the ideal consumer for that?
Sure. So the Jeffrey is a little play on words from the movie Get Him to the Greek. In the movie Get Him to the Greek, they smoke a blunt that's got everything in it, right? So our technology allows for us to throw multiple ingredients into a tincture like this. Because we are a low heat, low energy product, we can actually take an acidic cannabinoid, solubilize it, keep it intact, and put it into a water soluble format. So our Jeffrey tincture having 4 or 5 different cannabinoids, but one of them being acidic, we don't know of a product out there on the cannabis market that allows for the water solubilization of an acidic cannabinoid. And why I personally think that's important is because I feel that is the intention of the plant, is to be delivered as an acidic compound. THCA, CBDA, CBGA. I'm a firm believer that THCA in 10 years will be aspirin and Tylenol with its reach. We're talking about the most abundant cannabinoid out there. It fights against damaged cells. It protects against future damaged cells, obesity, anxiety, depression. THCA does it all. So again, we're looking forward to the acidic water solubility and what we can do there as well.
And definitely what can't be misstated or underrepresented here is the work that Blake is doing really lays the path for research and development around these cannabinoids, right? There's no way that it's going to be done through typical combustion consumption methods. That's not how science gets down, right? Science gets down through, drips and drops and making sure that we have those available forms. It comes through technologies like Blake is developing, and it's all about the acid forms. I couldn't agree more. It's clearly what the plant intends, and as much as decarving and making those products available is awesome. The technology that Quick Drops has in the acid forms really brings something else. It's awesome, Blake. It's really exciting.
I appreciate that, Jill. Thank you. And I think what Jill touched on also is that our technology really is the missing link between recreation and biotech, right? We will be in gummies and chocolates and dispensaries, but this time next year, we will be very much so focused on matters of women's health too as well, right? I think that there is a large community that has generally been forgotten about when it comes to the treatment and their ailments as it relates to cannabis, right? Unfortunately, there are a lot of ailments out there that affect women 6 times more than men. Things like Crohn's, things like IBS, but then there's also treatments for something like endometriosis that men just quite can't understand, right? So unfortunately, there are ailments out there that have been completely gaslit by an entire medical community. We really feel that water-soluble cannabinoids can address this matter and really help out half the population that's unfortunately affected by many of these things.
Salute, man. That's awesome to hear. There's more purpose behind this, because I'm somewhat aware of all that, but as you share more, I'm learning as the people are learning. But I know from a business standpoint, right, the technology you have set up is definitely very friendly to the bottom line, being able to produce kind of low cost water soluble cannabis, right, in a place where also that access for manufacturers who don't have that system set up within their facility, right, it's getting access to that level of technology that previously took a lot of R&D and a lot of heavy infrastructure and cost, right, to be able to produce that, right. You have something that's able to get that access point down at a much more reasonable level for manufacturers.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good point. much of Qwik Liquids is born out of the inefficiencies that I saw working at Space Station in Woodland, California. Not necessarily the operation itself. Space Station was a great place. Space Station by volume is the #1 cannabis beverage manufacturer in the world. I came up managing the supply side and production for brands like Cann and Uncle Arnie's and Kaizen and Venice Cleat Company, and did the Pabst Lab launch and the Wonder launch. And the whole time we're there, we were looking for more of a pharma-grade approach to solubilizing cannabinoids for the purposes of beverages, right? But what we were seeing is that infusion ingredients were just priced so incredibly high that it didn't allow for their retail partners to achieve the price point and the penetration that they wanted to. So as a commercial infusion ingredient, we understand where we need to be priced in order for our brand partners for their price points to make sense. You'll see across the country in emerging markets that many of my competitors, they will unfortunately be charging different prices in different markets, right? In emerging markets, they will see that cannabis is costing more and the price of manufacturing is costing more. So they feel like they should be raising their prices. We stay at the same baseline price across the country. If you are out there and you are a manufacturer and you are working with partners that are charging an upwards of $8,000 as a tolling service for tolling down a liter of or a kilo into water soluble, you're getting hosed. There is a better way. There's a better option. And we really feel like Qwik Liquids is the future for water soluble cannabinoids.
And it lets you control it. That's another thing that you're totally missing the point on. Anytime that you kind of hand over that control to a toller or a processor, you know, there's a loss of transparency and visibility to your operations, your business, and your capability to make money. And so we kind of stand for the same way that way too, is like, bring it in, you know, achieve that kind of capabilities in-house and take your operations and your business forward. I think we have that.
And I think that when we talk about vertical integration, right, I don't know of a single vertically integrated company who has truly wrapped themselves around water soluble IP, right, to be truly vertically integrated. If you are your water soluble third party, you're not integrated, right? So allowing for complete control, self-sufficiency when it comes to creating what we consider the microchip for, you know, kind of the edible infusion space, having control over that really allows for self-sufficiency across the board. And if you are able to compare our ability to, you know, create water soluble, and you were say couple that with an OP Lightbox, right? Now you have got full self-sufficiency across the board when it comes to manufacturing your water soluble and testing your water soluble. Very, very important and very, very underrated.
Product consistency.
Yeah, absolutely. Consistency. You just hit it right on. It's called quality control, right? It's operational quality control, being able to create something, formulate it, and then test that you're making it the right way before you're sending out to a laboratory over and over.
So let's just say Blake's in like in one of these crazy little warehouses somewhere, you know, doing his thing with some Qwik Liquids. He does his batch. He calls you up. You happen to already be on the way, so you're there 5 minutes sooner than normal.
Of course, with my cape on. Yep.
Yeah, you're there. Your Super Jill's already on the way because she knew he was almost done. And now he wants to get a batch tested for one of these clients. How long does it take for you to get whatever your process is going, one, so that way it's like you're in the room and people just feel like science is happening? And then how quickly after that does a test result pop out?
If I shut up and not talk a lot, it goes a lot faster. You know how that goes, Joe.
Yeah.
I turn in and I push the little button on that box, and 9 minutes later, it's happy. I don't need to be a chemist to make it happy. You know, I just plug in a couple of things, and then 9 minutes later, it's happy. And then 11 minutes is a test time, right? So for a gummy, you'll take the gummy, chop it up with some scissors, or smash it in between two pieces of parchment paper, put it in a vial, melt it in a little melter that we have, add some solvent, put it on a shaker. That shaker is doing extraction chemistry at the same time that Light Lab is getting its, you know, analytical baseline. Again, it's acting like the chemist in the box, making sure that everything is stable and that the numbers it gives you are going to be accurate, day to day, operator to operator. It's dummy proof that way. But then after that 3 minutes where you're kind of doing an extraction chemistry, you've got a vial. The vial looks like this, and it's going to have, if it's a gummy that Blake made, it's going to be yellow or orange or whatever liquid in there. And you're going to take a syringe and you're going to squirt it into Light Lab, and 8 minutes later, it's going to tell you what you've got. And the amazing thing, I mean, I've been doing this for a while now in the cannabis world. You can walk into a grow, and when somebody brings out their flower, they've got an expectation of what that flower is. And the labs may be giving them an expectation of that flower and whatever that flower may be. And, we all know how much wiggle room there can be in that expectation and where you got that bud and what the lab told you. And so when I show up and I run my light lab test, and I give you a number and it says 26%, that might make you smile from ear to ear. It might piss you off because the lab told you 32. With gummies and drinks and beverages, flip the script completely on the head because people know what they're aiming for. And usually the lab is completely unreproducible. They'll send the same thing over and over to the lab, and they're getting crazy numbers. And I show up, happened twice last week. I walk in, somebody handed me 2 formulations. I tested them, boom, hits straight on. Shocks the shit out of me sometimes, guys. I'm like 5.1, 5.0. Yeah, I like that.
I think my favorite part of the Light Lab is how it sends you the text message when it's done and gives you the full rating. It gives you the full file. You can send it off anywhere. I mean, it's just so convenient.
Dude, we are right. I mean, we're at the tip of the iceberg on what we're going to be able to do this year as well. That's the stuff that I'm excited for. But yeah, we want to make it as accessible as possible. So when a Light Lab test is done, it's going to have a complete C of A with the chromatography, but that can show right up on your phone or, at a common email address for your operation. And that can be shared. And we've got folks that are now, submitting those up. We just had some really awesome news come through the state of Maryland that pretty soon looks like operations, cultivations, and processors in the state of Maryland are going to be able to use state laboratory. This is the stuff we're doing at the other end. Right? We have for 7 years now been working in the fields at the the ground level with cultivators, hemp processors, folks all across the United States to make sure that they're doing the right thing by their cultivations. But we've continued to develop and move forward, and these abilities to give our customers and the folks that we work with the room to grow. We want to give you a lot more. So, pretty soon we're going to have some awesome dashboard capabilities so that, instead of seeing a snapshot of what your cultivation or your grow is doing right now, or your process is at right now, you pull something off of, your winterization. What have I got? Or instead of that, you're going to be able to look at a dashboard and say, okay, the last 7 times that I grew this cultivar, what did it look like at 7.5 weeks? What did it look like at 8.5 weeks? And those kind of that kind of insight, right? We call it adding a layer of data to the tribal wizardry that has been driving this industry forever, right? It's this idea that we have secrets and we have these strategies that we've been sharing to grow our plants and make our stuff. But once we add data to it, man, we are going to get so much better, and that's what Light Lab's all about.
100%. I could even see, in the wholesale market, right? Buying products with the keeping in mind how impactful THC is to the end consumer, right? Just on a baseline level, not even taking any further than THC percentage, right? Whether we in the industry put much stock into it or not, the consumer clearly does, and therefore it has an importance in the entire supply chain. Some markets more than others, but if based on your THC percentage, some stores are not going to pick you up, right? They have a certain level where it's you have to hit this baseline, otherwise I don't want it because my customers don't want it. And I know in terms of wholesaling, you traditionally go buy out a big lot of product and then you send it off to get tested. And then based on those results, might pick and choose, okay, this will work for all accounts. These will work for these accounts or some accounts. You have that potential to, figure that out going in a little bit. Like you said.
Yeah, that ability to work with your product.
And a little bit, but you'll have a strong indication of where you're sitting.
Yeah, it's product diversion, right? It's working with your materials for what they are, and it's all about the cannabinoids that are in them. I mean, you're going to see somebody this week, the folks over at Hudson Botanicals, they do just that. They're processors, they're manufacturers, and they take their Light Labs everywhere they go. Mm-hmm. And they've made some, real clarifications in those moments where they're negotiating, right? Because it makes a big difference to them if something's, 18% or 12% and upwards. So, yeah, those moments is really the learning moments that we really gain with our customers too, and when we grow up with them.
I love that. So, also another part of NECANN, right? We're all going to be out there hanging out, this conference out in the Boston area. We're also all a part of this mass grass event on Friday. So I know, Blake, I know you've been out there, but Jill's really been, the boots on the ground, digging out the trench and, staying in the trench overnight, ready for this warfare, man. What can we expect at this mass grass event from 4 to 7 p.m. on this Friday, the 10th?
This Friday, can you believe it? I mean, first, let's just start with this. We started looking around for a place to have an event that was unlike many others, right? And we all feel it in this industry. We're at a conference, we're at an event, we want to move on to the next stage of the day. And that includes some business, but that also includes the thing that we like to do. And we wanted to allow our friends and folks that will soon be friends, business oriented folks around the Massachusetts cannabis industry to come together and consume and enjoy and connect and network. We started looking for a space. We found the amazing 33 Dunster Street. And this is a pretty historic space, you guys. Looking like Harvard Square, let me just give you a little Massachusetts history here. Harvard Square was the first planned town in America, right?
Wow.
So it was the first town in America where they said, let's plan out these streets. And some of those streets, including Dunster Street, they were built in 1631 and they still stand, right? Like those streets are still there, 1631. There's a wood building on Dunster Street that was built in the 1630s that's still there.
Wow.
So this is like legitimately historic. Never mind, you like fast forward. This was like one of the first taverns, this space around that area. Fast forward back in the 70s. This was legit the space to be. One of my team members, Peter Motla, talks about his underage happenings in this space and good times back there. Now, 33 Dunster Street is going to be one of the most amazing cannabis business-to-business spaces I think that, that the United States has ever seen. That's what it's shaping up to be. And we are going to be the very first event there. This event on Friday, it starts at 4:00. Doors open at 3:30 sharp. We've got some amazing food. We've got some amazing media folks. We've got some amazing beverages. We've got an amazing dab bar. This event is going to be lit. So I am definitely looking forward to it. We've got a guest list that is getting pretty chock full. So if you have not registered yet, you got to make sure to do so. But I mean, it's all about those beverages. For me, I am most looking forward to the amazing quick drops, beverages, magic punches that we're going to have to offer everyone. And Blake there, making sure that he's a quick tender, adding some Jeffries to all of our beverages and keeping everybody happy. Folks are going to come over to the light laboratory and test anything that you want. Guys, if you've got a homemade edible that you don't know how strong it is, if you've got something that grew out of the ground and it's fungus based, bring that too, because you never knew what I could test. If you've got your homegrown flower, if you've got a concentrate you want to test, bring it all. We've got a whole bunch of light labs. It's going to be fun.
Heck yeah. It's going to be a great event. It's going to be a fun one. I personally, I being in the cannabis space, we go to so many of these events where it is just alcohol soaked, right? I think it kind of takes away from the event. It takes away from the industry. I think it takes away from what we're all trying to get achieved, right? So this event is going to be a non-alcohol event. We are highlighting our cannabis partners from around the area. United Cultivation, Harbor House Collective, Root and Bloom. We got Hash Fight out there. Who am I forgetting, Jill?
Wow, we've got Trade Roots. We've got Hudson Botanicals. We've got Solar Therapeutics. We've got so many partners coming together for this and bringing great goodies and just kind of lending to the community attitude. That's what I'm loving too. First of all, the space was a miracle. finding it. It was like this beautiful serendipitous moment to connect with the folks that are running the Diaspora event space, right? This is a really unique membership type of space that allows us to have this really unique event. And the folks that run Diaspora are really an amazing team to work with. So I really encourage everyone to connect with them. That's Raja Straker and Sean Yamba and their team, or Sean Hope from Yamba and their team. But everything, everybody's just been leaning into just making this all about community, all about bringing folks together, focused on just celebrating what we're all working on. But, keeping it to business, right? We really want to make sure that we're giving space to allow people to do what we're here to do for this weekend, which is, connect and make some more money, all of us together, grow up.
We can't forget about the most fun part too, right? This is a B2B, but we are having a Fatty 420 sesh hosted by Three Good Buds. We're looking forward to that one. We're going to have some shuttle buses going from Heinz Convention Center at NECANN over to the event. Shuttle starts at 3 o'clock. Jill, is that the one?
3 o'clock. So you got to be out there at 3 o'clock. That'll be at we'll have more information on the final invite. So again, if you have not registered, make sure to register. You're going to get your final invite with a link on it this week from us. And that'll have all the information on the buses and getting over there. But yeah, the Three Good Buds and having them out, that's going to be definitely a highlight. Do not miss the 420.
Yeah, make sure to RSVP. If you've not RSVP'd, reach out to any single person on this live right now. We could all get you the list as long as you're cool. Just kidding. Now, as long as you're going out there, part of the industry, we'd love to see you. And I like what you guys brought up, right? I think it's important to highlight something that Joey and I have been critical through our platform a lot is a lot of these events and conferences or just events, right? It doesn't matter if it's a conference or not. A lot of the events in the cannabis space are usually at bars, usually alcohol driven. Due to that, there's no, legal ability to mix cannabis and alcohol. I know that's usually an issue for most of the regulatory bodies or the authorities, if we will. But someone like Joey is an actual patient. So being at a conference, being on the grind 8 hours a day, he's got to keep up cannabis consumption just to manage his medical ailments, right? And then people like the rest of us, we just consume cannabis. We're in the industry at the root of this entire industry. If you're at a networking mixer or whatever, the root of everything is the plant. That's the entire reason we're in this industry and able to do what we want to do. And we've always been vocal that it's very strange to be at these things. And not only is cannabis not able to be consumed, a lot of times you almost get shunned or looked at funny, just for smelling like weed. And so, I love the ability to intersect cannabis and business. For a lot of us, we just consume cannabis in a very regular format. It's like coffee. It's like water. We do it along with our regular day. It doesn't have to be this thing that we do at a special set time, right? Business can still be done while cannabis is consumed in its various formats. So I just am always appreciative of spaces that are just the best of both worlds. Networking, business has the ability to take place, but cannabis is not shunned, right? It's not necessarily promoted. If you don't want to consume it or not a heavy consumer, do you, whatever satisfies you. But for those medical patients or those of us who just engage in it, at a very frequent pace, I love it just being normalized and stigma-free. So I really salute you guys at prioritizing it in the people doing a lot of the lift and setting this up, putting that at kind of the forefront of this event. That's very important and near and dear to us here at RMR.
Hey, Mitch, if you don't mind if I touch on that a little more, I think there's actually more to that. There's an in-between, right, of the recreational patient and the actual patient, right, the medical patient. Us people that have struggled with addiction in the past, cannabis is very much so an off drug for us. So it's also a recreational drug, but it's also medical treatment for us too as well. Whether it's been prescribed or not, it helps us alleviate the want or need to drink or other things that people with addictions may have a problem with. So cannabis for me is very much so an off drug. So when I go to these events and there's a ton of booze around it, it doesn't really make it feel like it's a cannabis event, right? It's still, kind of a party scene, if you will. And I just think that, maybe it's my own soapbox, but I think cannabis is kind of, the opposite of alcohol, right? Cannabis helps people. It's a medicine. Alcohol, tobacco kill people on the daily. Cannabis does not. So whatever we can do as an industry to I'm at the point where I think we need to band together and fight against all of these. We are not big tobacco. We are not big pharma. We are not big alcohol. And quite frankly, I don't think they deserve to even be in this space. If they want to come in and light their fire on money, light the money on fire like anyone else, so be it. But I think it's time that we all band together and kind of block out those three.
And it can start with this. Like, let's find event space like this. Sorry, go ahead, Joe.
I would say I'm in a big agreement, but as a medical patient, cannabis does exacerbate my problems. So it's like, it does make it worse, as great as it is sometimes. And people often step all over the people that complain about cannabis or hypermesis syndrome. And I'm 1000% able to smoke with the best of anybody. And Mitch can stand here and over the last 12 years that we've done this, knows that weed has made my symptoms worse with those things that I deal with as a chronic kidney stone patient, as someone who deals with IBS. There's a fine balance with all of it. And most recently, I've had a couple people where dabs have triggered seizures, and dabs have triggered people passing out. And so, for better or for worse, it's not even all about going so full force on cannabis. It's about getting a deeper understanding of it. It's about getting dosing more consistency. It's about getting a better understanding of how to properly use it in our life versus being, no disrespect, because you're not saying this in it entirely, but it is not all just about cannabis consumption. You feel me? And these events can't only just be about getting high off of 500 milligram this or dab after dab after dab after dab after dab. And that is unfortunately California culture. It's also Oklahoma culture in some essences. We come from Seattle. It's still Washington culture. It's still Oregon and still Colorado. There's this balance where if you are OG, like a lot of the people we look up to, or even like, I'm only been in this game 7 years and I'm in the new Recca version of 7 years, right? Like, dabs and concentrates and products are way more potent than I ever had when I was only buying weed from the homie. And that shit made all of my problems worse. I've had, since I started smoking weed, I've had kidney stones 15 times. And so it's not the saving grace for everybody every time. And it is all about balance. And so I just want to say that I do appreciate a lack of alcohol in these events and whatnot, at the same time, I go to cannabis events and there ain't never enough water for someone that's hurting, for all that chronic pain that people are talking about. There's never enough water at these events. So it's always that balance.
This was a big part of our conversation, Joe. Honestly, I mean, even in the design of like the beverages and things like that, we had a conversation on dosing them real low.
Yeah.
Like super, super low so that people could experience it and have, a more, low dose.
Every cannabis event I've ever been to with more than 1,000 people has had at least one person pass out at it.
Yeah, no, we're not interested in any of that. And we're well aware and tuned into those same kind of challenges that, the high dose problems. It's not just there, guys. It's here too. I'm definitely looking forward to you connecting with Dr. Miyabi Shields. That's a person. I don't know. Dr. Shields. Miyabi. That's a person that really has taught me a lot about dosing and the importance of looking at different cannabinoids and bringing them into your personal profile, if you will, and understanding what they can do for you and making sure that you're, understanding what a dosage looks like for you personally.
Yeah. It's important, this event, I'm big on these mixers and whatnot, also without alcohol, mainly because it provides actual valuable networking opportunities. I do prefer a place to smoke. I prefer all the things that it's going to make these events cool, right? To us, like, I prefer to smoke at home or smoke with friends, and love to be there on my laptop and networking and making stuff or writing. I'd love it to be like that kind of, cafe almost like experience to all the way through and through. Like, I wish that was normal life. So, but the ability to the network and be around such highly educated individuals, people like Blake, who are, have such crazy experience, from some of the most successful beverage manufacturers, period, here in California. You get to visit so many different farms and brands and labs and facilities, that it's the doctor that you mentioned, it's a huge opportunity for people just to ask the questions, get a quick answer, or maybe catch you for 30 minutes. It really, it's just a huge opportunity to bring the community together and get a good hodgepodge of valuable insights. So I'm looking forward to smoking and hearing a little bit of that. I can't wait to get some more knowledge from people and hear some more perspectives.
And we got the biggest case. It's like a huge case full of water.
Yeah, we got Matt from United Cultivation just jumped into the comments letting us know there is lots of water coming, so shout out Matt and shout out the hydration, you know what I'm saying?
A lot of
Gotta
people come, Mitch, we were a part of an event on my birthday in 2000. No, not on my birthday. This was our Seattle's Most Known. This is our very first cannabis event, and one of our good friends who, it could have been any one of you guys. Just, there was an open bar at the same time or something along those lines. And when she hit the weed with us, you just saw it happen. You know what I mean? You saw the legs wobble and buckle, and it was just. I can't tell you how many times open bar events that's been the case. And so I'm very proud to be a part of an event that you guys have curated, and thank you for including us, for sure.
We're stoked to have you guys.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be a party without
this
RMR in the house.
Yeah.
This is going to be a great time.
No doubt. It's going to be absolutely a great time, man. And I'm excited. Massachusetts is such an exciting industry, and it's impressive to see. I've constantly said this over the last week, talking to people about NECANN, to see a conference, a regional conference that's existed since I think 2014, and continue to grow. Right, like if we look at all of these other markets, conferences of that size that are specific to just specific markets. We have not seen a lot of those thrive, right? And so I think the vibe, the energy, I think it's attributed to the people that are producing this event, but then also kind of the culture and community you guys got out there, which Jill, you're obviously a part of, right? That you guys are able to band together and just build community and culture around the industry. It's great to see that, and I just love. Massachusetts has long been, you guys got recreational cannabis first out of the Northeast, and everybody's just been salivating over New York and New Jersey. But hey, man, if you ain't been out to Massachusetts, man, they got an existing market, and it's just filled with great people. I love getting out there, and I'm super excited to get back. We need to let it be known, Joey and I were potentially gonna go to Cannabis this year, and we're skipping out Spain to go out to Massachusetts, man. So we definitely want to see, what flavors people got out there, who's growing the fire, who's making moves, who can we meet with, who can we be educated with. I've had people all week reaching out on LinkedIn saying they want to meet up. If you see us, say what's up on the floor, but also make sure you reach out to RSVP for this Mass Grass event. And that'll be an easy place where we can chop it up, talk for a few minutes, meet each other face to face for the first time, or let that relationship grow if we've just met each other, in passing before. But Jill and Blake, really appreciate you hopping on this morning joint episode, this special morning joint episode, as we get ready for NECANN and Massachusetts. I'll pass it to you, Jill, and then Blake, anything else you want the people to know before we get up out of here?
I just want to say thanks again, guys, and give a shout out to our third partner host for this event, which is United Cultivation, the amazing folks here based in Massachusetts that'll be carrying the Qwik Liquids brand and license here. We are really, really blessed to have them on this team too. So Matt Bessinen, what's up, dude? I see you there in the comments. Thank you very much for all you've been doing for this event too. It's going to be great.
Appreciate United Cultivation. Thank you guys.
Blake, you got any parting words for the people before we hop up off here?
Show up, show out. Mass Grass 2023. It's going to be lit, man. It's going to be what it's supposed to be. Cannabis community coming together, having a good time, doing what we love, doing what we do best.
Hell yeah.
I love that. All right. Well, this is the Respect My Region Morning Joint Show. We will be joining you guys in Massachusetts, NECANN. We'll be there all week. And again, this Mass Grass event, 4 to 7 on Friday. Reach out to any one of the 4 individuals in this live if you need the RSVP link. But hopefully you already got that situated, man. Don't be slacking. All right. Well, we'll see you guys this week in Boston, man. We're out of here.